Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of the W124 saga, which is about the injection system of the car. I don't know how many videos I have already about this thing, and I was beginning to giving up on this thing and trying to figure out a completely different system to implement in this car and try to make this thing run. But I decided to give it one more shot. I just come up with this kind of bizarre idea on how to deal with this problem, at least for now, to be able to move this around. As I've mentioned a million times before, this is my simple goal, and in this episode I have already disassembled most of the injection system. I'm going to try to show you. Everything is scattered. I showed you that I think I don't know actually which one of these was disassembled the last time. Everything is assembled back. This is the body of the injection system. You can see how it works. I'm gonna show you probably a little bit later. Basically, the vacuum from the engine creates a vacuum over here, and in independence of the amount of vacuum, this opens or closes and regulates the fuel. It is very kind of simple system. You can see this is the back end, and it goes just like that. This is connected to a lever that goes on this side. You can see it moving up and down and presses this button over here that is on the bottom of the injection system, which adds more fuel to the mixture, adds more fuel, and that way the fuel supply is controlled. And in my case, the fuel mixture is way too rich, because I think that this system is actually restricting the amount of air that goes inside of the engine constantly, and I want to change that and make it a bit more simple, a bit more reliable, and to try to adjust it. You'll see this in a bit, but before that I want to show you something else. And the point of this episode is I have already disassembled most of the pieces that are over here, but now my goal is to disassemble the rest of the intake collector, because it is in my way. I want to reach the crankshaft position sensor, which is beneath it and kind of on top of the starter motor. You can see the wire that is leaning on top of the starter motor over there. This is the wire for the crankshaft position sensor, and I think that there is something that is not quite right with it, and I'm gonna try to use the one from the other Mercedes, which is for the spare parts. And the focus is gonna be to clean everything over here and replace this crankshaft position sensor. And if I successfully do that, I'm gonna try to implement my system, and I'm gonna share the details about that a little bit later, because if that thing works, it is gonna be just insane. You may not think that this is something that it should be done, and it may seem stupid at first glance, but I'm desperate, and in desperate times there are only the desperate measures that can be taken. So guys, I won't talk any more about this. I'm gonna just begin working. I know that it can be a bit much. I'm wasting way too much time and making way too many videos about small stuff like this thing, but I wanna just show you every step of the way that I'm taking when it comes to repairing this car and what it cost me time-wise and as an effort and everything as a package to get this back up and running and eventually to, in general, to make this project work. So I'm hoping that soon I'm gonna have a different type of content around this car. You can skip to that part, of course. If you think that this is gonna be interesting for you, I wanna encourage you to stay tuned and watch this video till the end. Hopefully this is gonna help me solve my problem. Later on I'm gonna try to explain my idea about fuel system as well. So let's finally start working. So guys, I just want to show you what I have to do when it comes to this car. This is supposed to be a cable. You can see that it is almost gone. This is ground, the minus from the body of the car to the engine on this side. Just ridiculous. And God knows what I'm gonna find when it comes to the wiring on this car, because I don't want to admit this, but obviously when it comes to these old Mercedeses and there is this problem that I'm having with the screen wiper and stuff like that, that things are getting turned on and off without any reason, like the car is possessed from this weird ghost. That means only one thing, that the wiring is bad, and probably this is the reason for most of my problems, but step by step I'm going to try to find every single one of them. Hopefully it's not going to be today. This is going to be all for today, and let's continue. everything is already disassembled. I'm sorry about that, I missed a step, but it is my fault. Apparently recently I have been kind of poor managing my battery life. I have 3 different batteries, but I drained 2 of them and I was counting on the third, but in the end it was kind of unfortunate that she didn't have any battery life as well. So as I said, poor battery management. And you missed how I took this out. It was kind of difficult for me to take it out because it is a big part and the space is limited inside of the engine bay, but now it is out. And what I'm gonna do with this thing is I'm gonna try and clean it a bit, since it is in this awful condition at the moment. But what was the reason for me to disassemble this? And this is the crankshaft position sensor, to show you how it looks like over here. So here it is. This is the way that this thing looks like. This reddish part have to be connected to the black plastic, and apparently at some point this was disattached somehow, because I think the plastic is way too burnt from the temperature of the engine and it is damaged. So now the 2 wires are sticking. They're supposed to be tucked inside the isolation, but the green one still has its own isolation and it is kind of better, but these wires are without any protection isolation. So I measured the resistance of this thing on the side where the plug on this thing is, and it seems to be okay, but my suspicion is, since this is sitting close to the starter motor, once I crack the starter and I try to start the engine, there is induction near the starter motor which can influence the readings of this sensor because of this wire that is kind of absolutely unprotected at the moment, and they are near to each other. Basically they are extremely close to each other, and that can result in false readings when it comes to this thing. And this is my concern. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I simply cannot leave this the way it is. So I'm gonna try to get the other one out of the other Mercedes, and if I can successfully disassemble that one without damaging it, I'm gonna install it over here and I'm gonna start assembling everything back together, and finally to see how the car is gonna start and run. So I'm ready to start assembling. I want to show you the mode that he did, but I'm hoping that it's gonna help me solve my problem with the work of this engine. You can see that there is empty hole over here at the moment, and this is because I removed the plate. It was kind of a mess for me to kind of difficult to disassemble this because one of the bolts was kind of damaged, and it doesn't matter. The important thing is that I took this off, and you can see the metal wire that I have installed on this thing. What I did was I made a small hole, just enough for this wire to be inserted over here, and it has this small chunk of metal on the end, so it won't go out when this is it is gonna hold like this. And the idea behind this is the metal plate. I think this is brass, I'm not completely sure, but it doesn't matter actually. This plate it sits over here, and she controls the amount of air that goes inside of the engine, and through this metal wire I'm hoping that it is gonna allow me to control the amount of fuel as well. And it is kind of a long shot, but I'm gonna try to make the fuel system work a little bit better from what is working at the moment, so don't judge me way too harsh when you see what is gonna happen, but I wanna try this thing, so I'm gonna show you how this is gonna work in the end. But for now, let's begin assembling. This is as clean as I can get it at the moment, so let's start assembling. This is my idea. I don't know if it is gonna actually work. It is kind of a long shot. I will try to show you. I hope that you'll be able to see how this moves as long as I am able to position this light. So when the throttle pedal is pressed, you can see how the metal wire pulls this lever down, but unfortunately the play of the throttle plate and this lever is different, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to adjust this properly, but I'll have to try, because I think this car needs this thing to work. At the moment I have to install one additional spring over here to kind of help this return back into position, and then it works so much better when this is supposed to sit like this, and then throttle pedal pulls it down. But we'll see if this thing is gonna work the way I want it to work, because there is this possibility of the car not to idle properly, to have way too high RPMs on idle, and when it comes to full throttle there might not be enough of a travel of this lever. I think that I might have issue with this, so I don't know how I'm gonna adjust this metal wire properly, but we'll see. I'm gonna at least attempt to do that. So the next step is gonna finally assemble this thing in place, because I struggled to insert this wire into place, and I just wanted to make a dry run over here to see how this system is gonna work. So I'm not very enthusiastic about this anymore, because I was afraid this might happen, but I at least had to try. I have prepared the spare crankshaft position sensor. You can see that it is in so much better condition than this thing, and now you can see probably what has happened to this thing. So I'm gonna proceed with the installation of this thing, and hopefully this is gonna solve my starting problem. If not, I'm gonna try to find the reason somewhere else. They are identical otherwise. everything is already installed. I mounted the distributor that I disassembled just to check out what is going on with it, if it is working or I have messed it up pretty badly, and I think that everything is now plugged as it's supposed to be. I have tried my best to assemble everything according to what it should be assembled properly, I mean, and you can see my improvised throttle system. I don't know what is gonna happen, but I'm dying to find out, so I'm gonna reattach the battery and crank this thing to see how and if it is gonna even start, how it is gonna work and run. Let's not waste any more time and try to do this. Okay guys, so my system is kind of working at the moment, and I'm gonna continue and assemble everything back together. I mean the air filter, so I can, I don't know, or I'm gonna probably take this out for a ride and see if it is gonna work, and then I'm gonna return and assemble everything, because the system is not proven itself yet, and I want to be sure that everything is fine before I install all the components. And probably I'm gonna have to find a way to adjust this once again, because you can see that it is kind of idling rough and stuff, but exciting. Now I don't know if you've noticed, but it starts very well, at least for the moment. Once I turn the key and the car just starts immediately. So this is exciting, and yeah, let's try and adjust this a bit, but first I'm gonna try to test it, and if everything seems to be working okay, I'm gonna assemble, and probably I'm gonna attempt to test this as well with camera on board to confirm everything that I have done at the moment. So yeah,